The rain poured like the sky itself was crying. She stood there, soaked and trembling, watching her belongings spill across the muddy road. Cars passed by. People stared, but no one stopped. Her heart sank, not because of the rain, but because she felt invisible. Until one stranger stepped forward and changed everything. Sophia had always believed that strength meant never showing weakness. She worked 2 jobs, took care of herself, and never asked anyone for help. At 27, she lived alone in a small rented room in the city, far from her family. Life wasn't easy, but she kept going, smiling even when her heart was tired. That morning started like any other. A rushed breakfast, a bus almost missed, and a long walk to her workplace. The sky was already heavy with clouds, warning of rain. Still, Sophia clutched her worn-out handbag and hurried down the sidewalk. The bag wasn't expensive, but it carried her whole life: wallet, documents, memories. By afternoon, the sky finally broke open. Dark clouds roared and released sheets of water. Sophia had no umbrella. She covered her head with her arms and began to run. The wind howled, pushing against her. Cars splashed water as they passed, drenching her further. She reached the bus stop, panting and drenched. Her shoes squished with every step. Her hair stuck to her face. The cold bit into her skin, but she stood still, waiting. The bus was late. Minutes passed. The rain only grew heavier. Sophia tried to stay calm. She hugged her bag close, as if it were her last defense against the world. But then it happened. The leather strap that had been weakening for months suddenly snapped. Her bag fell. Everything spilled onto the wet road. Papers, receipts, makeup, keys, an old photograph of her mother. The rain attacked them mercilessly, soaking and washing them away. Sophia froze. Her hands trembled as she dropped to her knees, frantically trying to gather everything. Her tears mixed with the rain. People around her glanced, but no one moved to help. Some even frowned, annoyed that she was blocking the path. Others stepped around her as if she were just another obstacle. In that moment, Sophia felt something worse than cold. She felt alone. Her mind dragged her back to every moment she had struggled in silence. Every birthday spent without company. Every night she cried into her pillow. Every time she told herself, "It's okay, I don't need anyone." But now, watching her mother's photo float away in the muddy water, she whispered to herself, "I can't do this anymore." Her fingers slipped. She stopped trying. She just sat there in the rain, defeated. Cars moved. People passed. The world continued, as if she didn't exist. Sophia lowered her head and closed her eyes, wishing the rain could just wash her away too. And just when she thought no one cared, a pair of feet stopped in front of her. At first, Sophia didn't look up. She assumed it was just another person walking past, but then she saw a hand reaching toward her. Gently, respectfully, almost as if asking for permission, she lifted her gaze. It was a young man around her age, also drenched from the rain. He wore no umbrella, no raincoat, just a soaked hoodie clinging to his skin. Yet his eyes were warm, kind. Without saying a word, he knelt beside her. He picked up her scattered papers one by one, wiping them carefully with his sleeve. He retrieved her mother's photo from a puddle and held it delicately, as if it were made of glass. Sophia stared at him, speechless. Still, he didn't look at her directly. He just continued collecting her belongings silently, giving her space not to feel embarrassed. A middle-aged woman walked by and muttered loudly, "Why is she sitting in the middle of the road?" A man chuckled, shaking his head as if Sophia were ridiculous, but the stranger finally spoke, turning to them. Not in anger, but with steady calmness. "She's not in the way. She's having a hard moment. You could show some compassion." The people went silent. Sophia's throat tightened. She wanted to thank him, but the words were stuck. Her voice felt locked behind all the years of pretending to be strong. The man didn't ask her why she was crying. He didn't question her. He didn't make her feel small. Instead, he gathered her things, placed them carefully back into her damaged bag, and then took off his hoodie, leaving himself in just a thin t-shirt. He wrapped it around her bag to hold it together so nothing would fall again. Then, for the first time, he looked at her directly. His voice was gentle. "Is there anywhere I can walk you?" Sophia hesitated. Trusting someone was not something she did easily, but in that moment she didn't see a stranger. She saw safety. She nodded slowly. He stood and offered his hand. She took it, her fingers trembling in his warm grasp. He helped her to her feet, steadying her as if she were fragile but not broken. The rain continued pouring, but suddenly it felt softer. The young man held his hand over the bag to protect it while they walked. He didn't try to make conversation. He simply walked beside her in silence, a silence that didn't feel empty, but comforting. They reached her bus stop. He waited with her until the bus arrived. Just before she stepped on, he smiled. "Take care," he said. "Wait." She finally found her voice. "What's your name?" He shrugged softly. "Doesn't matter." And before she could ask more, he stepped back into the rain and walked away. Sophia stood frozen, watching him disappear through the crowd like a guardian angel who didn't want to be known. When Sophia boarded the bus, people stared at her wet clothes and messy hair. But this time she didn't care. She sat by the window, clutching her bag wrapped in his hoodie. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel alone. She looked at the hoodie. It was navy blue, soft but worn. Something about it felt familiar, like kindness stitched into fabric. She pressed it against her chest and whispered, "Thank you." When she got home, she dried her belongings carefully. Some papers were ruined, but her mother's photo survived, with just a small stain at the corner. She smiled at it. That night, she washed the hoodie and hung it near her window. She thought about him constantly. Who was he? What kind of person helped without expecting anything in return? She wished she could do something for him. The next morning, she made a decision. She wrote her story online, not to gain sympathy, but to honor him. She didn't know his name, so she titled it, "To the stranger who helped me in the rain. You saved more than just my bag." Within hours, the story spread like wildfire. People shared it, commented, cried. Thousands of strangers wrote messages like, "Humanity still exists. This made me believe in kindness again. If you're reading this, hoodie hero, thank you." News pages reposted it. Influencers reacted to it. The internet searched desperately for the unknown man. A week later, someone replied with a photo. It was him. A volunteer at a local shelter recognized the description and commented, "I think this is the guy. His name is Daniel. He volunteers here every weekend." Sophia's heart raced. She went to the shelter the next day, wearing his hoodie in her hands. When she found him sweeping the floor with headphones on, she almost burst into tears. He looked up, surprised. "You found me," he said softly. Sophia stepped forward, eyes glistening. "No," she whispered, "you found me first." She held out the hoodie. "I washed it, but I was hoping maybe I could return more than just this." He smiled. They sat together and talked for hours. About life, about struggles, about kindness. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He was just someone who believed that small actions could change someone's world. And he was right, because his small act of kindness didn't just change Sophia's day. It changed her life. Kindness doesn't always come with grand gestures. Sometimes it's a quiet hand reaching out when the world looks away. You may never know how much your actions mean to someone, but to them, it could mean everything. So when you see someone struggling, be the one who stops.